My name's Paul Simmons and I'm one half of Timorous Beasties.
And I'm Alistair McAuley, the other half.
We started off doing printed textiles, and with printed textiles it kind of allows you to still draw and paint and do quite a lot of those kinds of artistic type things. I think we were very much interested in process and still are, and I think one of the very important things about designing for anything is to know about how it's actually made.
It's a very basic facility, but it's incredibly versatile. You know, so we can do bespoke, sort of made-to-measure fabrics and wallpapers. You know, and engineer the panels so that they fit in, and things that you couldn't really do in a commercial printer. And that has led us into doing products as diverse as windows. For a housing scheme in the Gorbals. We have produced gravestones. We have produced ceramics. We do all sorts of things.
In the studio we physically print quite a lot of our wallpapers, and a lot of the designing that we do is with the end product in mind. We were asked to design a wallpaper, influenced by a lot of the things in the V&A, and because we'd chosen to use flock, it meant that we couldn't actually use a lot of detail. So we chose very generic kind of shapes that were in a lot of the silks and in a lot of some of the Elizabethan papers. It's quite interesting when you look at some of the pieces and you might not know about the actual process, but it will say something to you. I mean, there's so many objects in the V&A, you're really spoilt for choice, but one fabric in particular could be arguably one of the best printed fabrics ever, is a fabric called Peacock Amongst the Ruins. And it's actually a British toile that was done in the late 18th century.
And interestingly enough, even with today's incredible technology, you just can't get that sharpness and depth of colour that you could get from this piece. We would love to be able to do that kind of printing. And we're going to try and learn how to do it, but it's a process which it's not going to have any commercial gain. It's just more of a kind of, pushing yourself a little bit.
I mean, what is quite interesting is that people have been producing a lot of toiles in the last 20, 30 years, but they always try and reproduce the old toiles rather than actually producing a toile about now. And I think the toiles that we started producing had a certain resonance and had something that people could really relate to. The Glasgow toile, which had scenes with junkies shooting up, and toiles a bit like Peacock Amongst the Ruins were the original sort of influences for that design.
What gave the Glasgow toile particular kind of integrity, as it were, is because it was developed using source which was literally on the doorstep. Like this is some of the scenes from where we used to work.
All these little details people really relate to, and I think that's what maybe made our toiles stand out a little bit. Quite a few pieces in the V&A that I've certainly used or had a look at, either the repeats in them, but it might be something like a piece of ironwork, which is completely different to a piece of fabric, but there'll be some images in there, or some shapes, or the way that it's been put together, composition, that will be really influential. It's very easy to get access to see a lot of pieces of design or paintings or art or whatever it might be, but when you go and actually physically stand in front of the original piece, I think you can't compare it really. You can almost pick anything, absolutely anything, and you can find some of the best examples of that thing at the V&A. And I think it means that you can always go back there and you can always rediscover and see things with a new eye.